that all set now?
Yep, I'm just trying to figure out where you guys went. Okay, there you are. All right, I'm gonna start the other recording. Okay. All right, you're all set to start.
Okay, great. Let's call the meeting to order at 6:31. We have 4 of our members present, so we can begin the meeting. I'd like to call first for the approval of the minutes from the March meeting and then the special meeting on the 17th of June. So may I have a motion to approve the minutes? First, the March meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the March minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on those particular minutes? They look fine to me. Oh, here comes Nancy.
Can you hear me?
Are you here?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay. Can you see me?
Yes?
Okay. Hi.
Very good. Very good. We're just at the point where we're approving the minutes from the March meeting.
Oh, great.
So
Okay.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Let's move on to approval of the minutes from the special meeting on June 17th, 2020.
I so move.
Is there a second to approve the minutes from the June
I'll second
17th
it.
meeting? All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Okay, let's move on to citizen participation. I don't see anyone here. Nothing has been submitted to my knowledge. If Emily comes and she has anything, anyone has emailed a question to her, then we will get back to that. Let's move on to the reports. The treasurer's report, please.
We talked about the building fund last meeting, that $380 was moved from the regular budget to the building fund. And
Okay.
then the other work by Joe Escher. So the balance now is $26,629.67. And preliminary end of the year for 1920, the remaining balance is around 16,000. When Julie sent them, she said that, hang on, let me find the email, that she's just waiting on a couple bills, like an electric bill. So so it will go down a little, but I don't think it'll be significant.
Right, so then that money gets turned back to the town?
Correct.
Is that? Okay,
They had put a freeze, the selectmen had put a freeze on our budget and we've been closed, so
right,
not really much we could do.
Yeah,
Right.
residents were asking about money coming back from the library for it being closed, so.
so what's happening?
We don't plan on that affecting the budget next year, like anytime. It's just the circumstance, so.
Right. Okay, that's great. All right, now I'd like to move on to the director's report. You should have received a copy of it. And actually, there's 2 of them from April and June and July. Have you all received them?
Yes.
And do you have any questions on any of the items that were on in the minutes? there's certainly not much activity this month because of the library being closed.
Right.
In terms of circulation, anyway. I mean, she indicated, I mean, you've all heard this, that she indicates everything, the curbside service is working very well. And she's happy
Yeah.
with the way things are going. She plans to do make some more suggestions in terms of what's going to be happening next. And we should be able to hear from her as soon as she gets online. Does anyone need me to go over this a little bit more, or are we happy with what?
Happy with it.
We're good.
Oh, it's good.
Okay,
Thorough.
the next item on the agenda was the old business and the follow-up to the duct work and the Dropbox, the electrical work and the Wi-Fi transmission. And we really need Emily for a lot of that information. The duct work, we still don't have any information on as to what we're going to do with that. At this point.
I can tell you what I've talked to Emily about.
Okay,
The only report that I have is the one that I sent you guys from CLA. That was a number of years ago.
right,
I did have DEF at the beginning of the garage project. This was probably back in November, maybe a little bit later than that. When we were meeting for the garage project, we had mentioned the duct work there, and they were gonna look at it and had some suggestions. We never got a report back from them for that. I'm not gonna pursue that just because of what we've been going through with our garage project. So I don't know. I suggested to Emily that if you want, we haven't been able to find anywhere on our end from foam for places that do the filling with the foam. I don't know if we want to have not DEF, but Boundaries Engineering Company look at it again, because there has been some time passed since CLA did it, that maybe there's newer things out there for suggestions, and maybe they know some connections on things. That was just a suggestion that I was just talking to Emily about it today, because I was looking through my emails and all of my stuff to find out about the stuff from DEF, and they never sent anything. So that was just a suggestion.
all right. I mean, it may be a second opinion at this point would determine whether or not there's been any changes over time,
Right.
and whether or not we really need to act on it, or maybe it can be deemed safe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at the registers the other day where there's a mat there. I mean, if we even could seal that off with something a little more permanent than a mat, so that insects don't get in like they did before.
Right.
But again, I would imagine an engineering firm would need to make that determination as to the safety of the building.
So it might be a good idea just to get a second opinion from a different engineering firm, and they've been working with us, working on repairing the doors and stuff. They found us people to help us out with things too. So
Who did?
Who's that?
Boundaries Engineering Company.
That's not the same as Boundaries survey.
I think they do
Surveyor?
surveys too.
Oh, okay.
The owner just actually bought property in town, so.
Oh. Okay, then I guess we still have to keep that on hold until we get some more information on that. In terms of the Dropbox, I believe when I spoke to Emily last that Joe was getting ready to pour the foundation for the Dropbox to be placed. And then he was going to, and I think that's in the process, actually.
Yeah, I actually know about this too, because I saw I've been spending a lot of time at the town hall. He did pour the concrete for the drop box. It's still setting. And he did close off the old drop box, so it's been sealed off. And he was over there today doing that. And he helped Emily bring out the metal drop box or bring it outside, because right now there's no place for people to drop books, because
Right.
he's not gonna have, he's not gonna be able to install until the concrete sets, and it's not gonna be ready till like Monday or Tuesday. So I actually helped Emily set up the green drop box to put it in a safe area where it wouldn't tip, because we were trying to find a spot on the ground where it would be safe and not tip so people could use it. And we set it up, and it has a big giant lock that's like this big on the front of it, because I guess Kathy had put it there so people couldn't drop like really fat books in it. But Emily couldn't find the key for it. So the public works guys, they have bolt clippers, and they're gonna either tonight or tomorrow morning clip the giant lock on it, so it's easier for people to put their books in. And that's
Right. Right.
So is that Dropbox gonna be the permanent one, or is this just an old? Okay.
It's gonna be the permanent one, and they never thankfully it got saved, because these things are really expensive.
Good.
Because we've been looking at drop boxes for the town hall, and they are really expensive. They saved the old one, and it's going to be put right, that blue box that's out there now for the other books. It's going to be right next to that. But right now it's like on the hallway, like the walkway that's between the town hall and the library. It's like on that, kind of by the steps, but it's set up in a way where it's stable, and it'll be fine for the weekend.
Okay, that's great. The other thing is the electrical work follow-up. We've had a couple of, not concerns, but items we need to discuss regarding that. We did approve the expenditure of 3,500, I think, for the lights, the changing of the outside lights and the timers and all that was involved. And we did approve that. We also need at this point to approve the electrical work that needed to be done to the desk area in order for us to reopen the library, because they had to be in moving the desk area around. And we talked about the safety before of all the amount of electrical units that were plugged in underneath the desk, and it's probably not a safe thing to do. So that needs to be done, and we need to make an approval of that for that. And the quote for that is another 3,500, I believe. Oh, that's in like pictures. For electrical wiring for rearrangement of front desk. And he said, we'll complete the work for the above for the sum of $3,500. Includes relocating existing wiring coming up through the pipe from the floor and relocated to wall where desk is to be laid out. Install additional receptacles under front work desk using the existing circuit. Installing data cables back under the desk. Installing additional receptacles under the second desk, and install data cable to second desk. So all of that we were quoted for $3,500. And I understand that money can be taken from our building fund. So we would need to have approval for that expenditure. So if we could have a motion, that would be terrific.
I make a motion for it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of completing the electrical work that's necessary in the desk area for $3,500?
Aye.
Aye.
Wonderful. So moved. The other thing we have to discuss in terms of that is, well, the Wi-Fi transmission. We are offering to increase our Wi-Fi transmission to cover a larger area out into the parking lot and probably into the pavilion area. So
So
that,
I think it's 900 feet or something. So it definitely hits the pavilion.
Mhm. So we thought that would be a fine thing to offer to the town residents, that they could come there and use the Wi-Fi in this particular time of need and whenever, for people who don't have Wi-Fi. So that was a quote for around $700. I do not have the exact figure for that. But if we could approve, again, from the building fund, that amount of money, then that would enable us to continue with the project. So would someone like to make a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to accept having the Wi-Fi transmission increased.
I'll second.
All in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
And who's gonna do that work?
Jim Coulard?
Oh, okay, it's the same electrician?
Yes. Yes. Do you need a spelling on that name?
Sure.
It's C-O
You?
U-I-L-L-A-R-D.
Okay,
Karen,
you.
There were only one, two, three, yeah, or four of us. Okay, we just approved a motion for the electrical work for $3,500. This is an additional for the desk area and for the Wi-Fi transmission increase and the amount for that is around $700. Okay, did we pass that?
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Things are moving in the right direction. Now, reopening of the library. I need Emily for this one. She expects at this point that we would not be opening up the library to the public for at least until September, because it's going to take time for all of the work to be done and in place, the electrical work, so that we can make sure that we have a safe environment for any library users. And we have to go along with what the governor is suggesting too, and I'm not sure.
Oh, here comes Emily.
Okay,
I'm letting her in.
Perfect. Perfect time.
Mhm.
hi, Emily.
Hello, here I am. I made it.
Great,
Emily.
it's perfect timing too.
She needs you.
Yes, I need you to talk about reopening the library.
Oh, okay, well, the desks, the rewiring, the desks are everywhere. And Jim started the rewiring. I know other libraries, there's a survey that the state library sends out, and about 80% are still not open or are to be determined. So nobody really has an opening date yet. A lot of them are doing curbside service, and then computer access by appointment and for very limited time. So maybe once the desks get, rewired and everything gets put back into place, we could start offering computer use by appointment. I did make a copy for someone yesterday, they called up and asked. So I said, you know what, just email me what you need copied and I'll do it for you. And she picked it up at the door. So I could start doing that. Or if people bring me the paper, I could take it from them, copy or fax, and then, give it back to them. But as for public coming in the building, a lot of libraries still don't have that. Their curbside is working pretty good. So. So I think everybody's just going kind of week by week, month by month.
Yeah, we don't have a meeting in August, so
Yeah,
if we needed to, but we don't expect that the library would be reopened anyway before September. So, but if anything happened, we would need to have some discussion about that. We can always have a special meeting
okay,
sometime in August. But for now, we would not meet again until the second Thursday in September.
September, yeah.
And at that point, we would have to discuss how we want to rehire personnel. And if we're to that point, and how we want to, and what is needed. In the meantime, what other items do you anticipate that we might need in order to open up a library? Any other expenditures?
The only thing is, all the equipment for the Wi-Fi upgrade came in. I think it's all in. I have to open it up and look at it. So that, I think I'm gonna give it a rough estimate of about 900, and that's with, the equipment and the electrician and the labor from Help Desk Express. But other than that, I don't think so. I think Julie had the plexiglass ordered, so that's been accounted for, I think. Not that I can really think of, aside from cleaning supplies and gloves and such, but I think they have those at the town hall. Julie said they have a little bit.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Yeah. Automatic soap dispensers or anything of that sort?
Well, we have that.
Touchless? Oh, you do have a touchless one?
We have the touchless soap in the bathroom, and then just the pull down paper towel.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I wanted to order wipes and things like that, but they're just not out there.
Yeah.
So I
Thanks,
did
Julie.
order a couple of keyboard skins to see how they work for the patron computers. I guess they'll be okay. I think it's probably a good idea to have them anyway in case, not many people spill things in there or whatever, but you never know.
And
So,
Julie has a setup for municipal priority through Amazon for things. So there's things that she can get. We have access to get things quicker than the average Amazon
good.
shopper. So let her know if you're trying to get that stuff, because we had Darlena came over today and was talking about masks for kids, and we were able to find some. So you have to check, because she was going to check to see if they had that municipal access at the school for Amazon too.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay, all right. But, but as far as the public is concerned, when we open, they either have a mask or they don't come in. And we'll provide wipes and things like that. And there's been a lot of discussion on the library think tanks about what different, people like, do you provide gloves? Do you provide masks? And I think the very, very large libraries might provide masks, but most are like, no, bring your own, maybe have a couple extra just in case someone needs them. But most of them are more like, no mask, no service. Same as a store. So,
Do you need any signage or like foot markers?
I'm sorry, what?
Would you
Signs for,
Signs?
we could always just print them up. I don't know if we have to have like special signs or whatever, but someplace they just put up signs, go this way, go that way.
Yeah.
Did you have a meeting that you were going to about reopening libraries or something? I mean, like a Zoom meeting or something?
There's a webinar coming up.
Mhm.
Yeah, the state has a webinar. I think it's the 19th, Thursday the 16th, because next Wednesday, the 15th, the CLC is doing their BCD swap. They postponed it for a couple of months, but now they're having a drive-through swap. So I'll get some more BCDs. I'll swap those out next week. I have to go to Booth and Dimick for that in Coventry, and they'll just swap them out. And I think it was that one, somebody extended the membership. I think it was for the CLC, the BCD swap, because it was
What is
coming due.
BCD?
The the audiobooks. We have the
okay.
CLC is the Connecticut Library Consortium.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
we subscribed, it's quarterly, and they give us about 40 audiobooks
Great.
on loan. And then quarterly, you go swap them out. And that should have
Okay.
been, I think, in February, so they extended it. And I think they extended our membership as well. Gave
Okay.
everybody a couple of free months. So yeah, so I can do that next week.
So are you going to be part of that webinar?
I signed
Webinar?
up for it.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I signed up for it, so I'll have to, I think, oh, wait a minute, that one is for how to fill out the state report. I did, there is one on there. I have to look for it. I think it's been recorded and put somewhere, so I'll look into that and see. They have.
Is there a
links in-
protocol?
I'm sorry?
Is there a protocol for returning those CDs? In
I just
terms of
give them,
cleaning or anything?
no, I give them back to them, and then they probably let them sit for a couple of days and maybe clean them. Yeah, because everything I take in, it sits for about 2 days.
Okay, so if someone comes in and drops it off, it'll sit for a couple of days before a new
Yeah.
patron uses it.
Yep, before I even check it in. And the Dropbox, it's closed up in the wall. That looks really nice. And the box is back outside, but not on the cement pad. The cement pad has to cure for a couple of days.
Yeah.
So Tracy helped me put it on the sidewalk, so it's there. So hopefully people realize that's the Dropbox, because it says book returns, and it's big and green. So in a couple of days, I think Monday, Joe's going to come back and drill the hole for the pin to go down into, and then it'll be all set where it's permanent spot. So that'll be nice. But he did a nice job on the wall. You couldn't even tell from the outside.
Yeah.
And then
Great.
he spackled, and he'll come back and fix it up on the inside. So
Great. Great. And then you've got that area cleaned out a little bit in the hallway there where the green box was.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
there's more space there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something could go there for display or something like that. Or maybe I'll put the newspapers over there, get a nice display and put newspapers. It's right where the emergency fire pole is, so you can't put anything up too high, you
Yeah.
know. But
You talked about the desk area, the new configuration of the desk area. And did you finally decide on gates that move?
yeah, Joe said he can make little saloon doors
Okay,
and close off those end caps. So, and that he'll submit in a separate estimate, because that'll be a separate job from the
Right.
book drop thing. So I said, just write up something for that. So he'll make nice end caps for the desks and make some swinging doors so we can walk in and out.
the desk area is going to look very different than it
Yes,
was.
yes, yeah.
It'll be more functional with the shields. There'll be some shields, and there's going to be allowable space between the people who are working there, so that it extends it to the 6 feet area.
And even if we want, like if the virus comes back with a vengeance or something, and we're open, we can always hang those shower curtains between us, so
Mhm.
that we do have a barrier there too. So we have a backup for that, but I think it'll be okay.
Mhm. Mhm. Now, when you talked about the Wi-Fi, and the estimate is like 900, that we talked about $700 before. The $900 includes the electrical work, which was not included in that $700 estimate. Is that correct?
But yeah, that's separate. That's from Jim.
Okay, do we need to approve then an increase for the electrical work?
Are you asking me? I'm sorry.
I'm asking anybody.
I would probably just approve the extra than you approved before.
Okay. So we
So
have to have
just
another motion.
approve it for 900 instead of 700? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't know if it is exactly 900. That's a rough estimate.
Yeah.
For me.
Emily, that's for both.
That is for the equipment, which was like 500 and something. And then the labor from Help Desk Express, and then and Jim too, but I can get a clearer price on that too. I'm not exactly sure how, they haven't written anything up yet. So I don't think it'll go over 1,000.
Well, can we amend the motion to include it up to 1,000?
Yep.
Is it-
So
I mean,
is
moved.
it possible?
fine with me.
So moved.
Okay, there's a motion on the table to amend the motion, the previous motion to include up to $1,000 for the Wi-Fi extension.
I'll second.
And that's to come from the building fund. All in favor of that motion?
Oh, you might want to ask Tracy, because I thought that the Wi-Fi was not from the building fund, so I'm not sure on that one.
The actual Wi-Fi, I think the actual Wi-Fi we did it through the budget. It was approved. I approved the expenditure from the budget leftover for the actual Wi-Fi stuff.
So the rest is going to come from the building fund? Is that?
The Wi-Fi and I don't know, because we didn't think about the electrical work, but I think that Julie and I said it could come from the money that you guys had left over from the budget. If she got it through, I don't know about because we paid for the Wi-Fi pieces already, and that came from the budget that was left over. The electrical work we could probably do from the building fund, because it is electrical to the building.
Okay.
Because there's no bill in that for that, so it can't come out of what was last year. So I'll see how we can finagle it.
I know that I asked Chris from Help Desk Express if he could backdate the invoice, and he said that would be fine.
Okay.
Because
So
that's
if
what
you
we
can-
did. That's
Yeah.
what we did last year. And I ordered the Wi-Fi equipment that was ordered on June 30th.
Right. So if it's all backdated, then it can come out of the money that's left over. I think she has until, is it the end of July, did she say? When she has to get everything in for that?
Oh, okay,
I don't remember. We'd have to ask her.
okay.
There's a certain amount of time between the end of the year and when you can do the backdating. So,
Okay, and that sounds, yeah, ask her, because now I'm not sure. I don't remember from last year.
So for the notes, do I write this up as it's coming from the building fund?
I would say the possibility first that it'll come out of what you have left over from last year. But if not, then we'll see the building fund can work. So
Okay,
we have to check the definition of what the building fund expenses were, if Wi-Fi fits in that.
okay. So who's checking that?
Do you guys have a record of what your building fund expenses are for? Because we can check too, but I didn't know who had it easier access.
I
have to look.
don't recall. Do you, Rachel?
I don't, not without looking back at previous minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
because that's probably what we'd have to look to see in our records what its definition is too. So
I'm
It doesn't
thinking
have-
if the building fund's allowed to be used, it would only be for the electrical.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking for the definition of what it's to be used for. It depends on how specific it is.
Mhm. Okay, so that covers a lot of reopening the library.
Did we
So
finish-
we're,
did we
I'm sorry?
vote? Did we
Oh, did-
actually vote?
okay, we're voting on, on the newly amended motion to set the amount of the expenditure for the Wi-Fi extension, some of which is to come from last year's budget and the remaining to come from the building fund. We're all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Okay. Is there anything else under the reopening of the library that we need to discuss immediately? So we're staying status quo until the library is complete, all the electrical work and the Wi-Fi and everything is working, and then we will discuss further opening in our September meeting or earlier if necessary. Okay, that concludes the new business. And under suggestions for the next agenda, we have things that have carried over from March a while ago. We were in the process of reviewing our policies. We've obviously missed, our original plan was to do 2 a month, and we're way behind now. So we'll go back to the original one, that's policy reviews of gifts and special collections, Patriot Code of Conduct, public relations, and room use. So that's just a suggestion for next time. We may not be able to get to everything. Also,
I have one addition thing that that just reminded me to get to you guys. At our Board of Select meeting on Tuesday coming up, we are modifying our hold harmless policy and our hold harmless agreement that is to be used when anyone, because for the rec commission, we had to adjust it for the use of the pavilion, for the use of anyone that uses town property for event or anything. And it would probably cover, well, it would cover for the library if someone uses the library for anything. It's just a form that they fill out that pretty much says that if anything happens when they're doing their event, that they're not going to sue the town. And it has a whole like COVID section in it too that says we're not responsible if anyone gets COVID at their event.
That's great.
So
We had actually talked about that,
yeah.
doing that. Yeah.
So you would use the town one. So, and I will have it hopefully approved at the Tuesday meeting, and I'll get it over to you guys so you can put that in your policy too. So
that's great. We called it, or we talked about it in terms of a disclaimer.
Right.
Disclaimer policy. Is that similar?
yeah, it's a hold harmless policy. It's something that our insurance company really wanted us to do. So it also has a part to it that's if the person that's using the town property has insurance, that they have to add the town as additionally insured. It probably won't happen for people that use the library. For you guys, they might not have that, and that's okay. It just depends on the situation. So,
and that will cover such things as if we have a program on use of herbs for medicinal purposes and things like that. Would that be covered? That policy
you
cover
would
all of that?
probably, well, the town, you'd be covered anyway because of the town insurance covers it. It would probably be more for if you had like an organization use the library for a meeting. And if they're not a town organization, you would probably want that, you would want them to sign it. It would be for, it's also supposed to be used for people that we hire. So if you have someone like hired out from the like summer reading program or something to come and do like the magician, you would want the magician to sign it. So it's for anything that it also works for like contractors and like the electrician, like someone that's anyone that's doing anything for the town. It just says if anything happens while they're doing their job, or being a vendor, or hosting an event, or being hired for something, that they won't sue. So
Okay, so I'm a little confused because we talked about it relative to any programs that might include food or health or physical activity or animals.
yeah, that would be
Sandra,
something that you would probably want for participants to have. That would be separate. This would just be
Okay.
for people that are using, like hosting something in the library,
Okay.
like a meeting separate, or if you're hiring someone to
Okay,
do something, or if you're having an event and people are being vendors at it, would be what it
Okay,
would
so this would sort of like go along with that, but be a
Yeah.
subset.
but do different. What we do at the farmer's market is we just have a little piece of paper that people sign that says they don't hold the town responsible if anything happens while they're participating in that event. So,
Okay,
and Sandra, I had emailed out and asked different libraries what they do for disclaimers about, food or whatever, and they say whoever is doing the program has to bring their own disclaimer.
oh,
They, if someone is going to come and teach about, making some kind of herbal syrup, they need to provide their own disclaimer.
well, that's interesting. Now, supposing they don't have one,
Well, then they need to.
then they're
make it.
not allowed to
And
participate.
a disclaimer is just like when Karen handed out the info on the elderberries, it says right on there, this is just for educational purposes and not intended for any medical thing. That's all
yeah,
they
just
really need.
wording.
Yeah.
but does that cover us then? No.
The town's already the library is part of the town, so it's already covered.
Okay, so we don't need that?
I can ask more specifically our insurance rep, because when we asked all of our questions, we didn't think of that.
Okay,
So I'll ask him, because we thought about the farmer's market, and our vendors at the farmer's market have to do it if they have food. If they have food, they absolutely have to have insurance. If they're selling food or any personal products that would cause a liability of someone to have a reaction to, we make it mandatory that they have to have insurance. So it would depend too. I'll ask him and see what he says about stuff
okay,
like
great.
that.
Okay, that would be helpful and for us to determine how much or what we need to do, or do we just piggyback onto what you have and include that in our
Right,
policy?
because mostly it just comes back to, are we covered if we get sued? So
Right,
you just have to think of the situations and ask if we're covered. So,
okay, that'd be great if you can get back to us on that.
Yep.
The other area that we had talked about was in our operating procedures, the benefits from the employee pay when the library closes. And that's something that we need to think about. And we don't need to do that today, but that's a suggested item for another agenda. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to put on a suggested item for another agenda? No, nothing?
Nope.
Okay, then that about concludes our meeting. If I could have a motion to adjourn, we can do that.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
A
Second.
second.
All in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Hi.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your summer. See you in September.
thank you.
Unless we have
Thank
unless we
you.
need a special meeting.
Yep,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.